So today we're going to dive into a really fascinating philosophical toolkit. It's designed to help us cut through all the noise of modern life. It comes from a framework called Arreqqanarra. That's spelled Arreqqanarr. And, its whole purpose is to help us think with a lot more precision.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question. What if some of our biggest, most heated arguments aren't really about what we think they're about? What if they're actually just, well, category errors? What if we're all just getting tangled up because we put things in the wrong mental boxes? That's really the core idea we're going to unpack today.
All right, so let's get into this Arreqqanarra way of thinking. Now, this is not a philosophy that's about finding easy answers. Not at all. Instead, it's a tool for getting to that hard-won clarity by making us draw some incredibly precise lines in the sand.
And what's so interesting here is that this isn't about being morally right or wrong. The main goal is intellectual precision. It's all about avoiding something the framework calls distorted clarity. You know that feeling when you're absolutely certain about something, but you're certainly wrong? This is a way to spot those category errors before they blow up into real-world problems. Okay, so this all sounds a little abstract, right? How does it actually work in practice? Let's apply it to our first example, a really common one, the deep, deep confusion between someone's skin tone and their ancestry.
And here's where you can really see the split. On one side, you've got skin tone. What is it? It's a surface-level adaptation to the sun. And let's be honest, it's often used as a very crude shortcut for administration. On the other side, you have ancestry. That's the deep stuff, the complex record of your family, your culture, your memories, your history. From the Arreqqanarra view, confusing these two isn't just a small mistake, it's a massive category error.
This line, this is the one that just nails it. Skin records sunlight. Ancestry records history. It's so simple but so profound. One is just a biological response to the environment. The other is a story written over countless generations. When you treat them as the same thing, you're deep in category error territory.
And get this, the framework even has a specific name for this kind of mistake, lay skew. It's pronounced lay-a-skew, and it literally means distorted clarity. You can almost think of it as a diagnostic tool, right? It's a label for that very specific error of smashing two different concepts into one and losing all the important details in the process.
Now, what happens when this sort of error isn't an accident? What if it's a deliberate tactic? Let's move from physical traits to the language we use and explore what the Arreqqanarra call the crime of name severing.
So this isn't just about prejudice. It's a very specific structural tactic of control. And it works in 3 steps. First, an outside power comes in and slaps new labels on a group of people, renaming them. Step 2, that single act breaks that group's connection to their own history, to their own self-definition. And then step 3, it forces them to use the language of their oppressors, which makes it linguistically harder to even think about resistance. And this is why it's considered so serious. The thinking goes, to name someone wrongly is to move them without consent. So from this point of view, it's not just a simple insult, it's a deep violation. It's an act that fundamentally changes someone's reality without their permission.
So we've seen how this framework looks at the big social world. But now, let's take that same super sharp lens and turn it inward to tackle one of the most misunderstood ideas out there, the ego. Man, this distinction is so incredibly useful. We tend to throw the word ego around to mean selfishness or maybe big-headed confidence, but that's a total category error. It's also not your true self, your core identity. No. Instead, it's better to think of it as a protective narrative. It's the story your mind tells itself to keep you safe. It's a boundary mechanism. I absolutely love this analogy. Think about it. Scaffolding is that temporary, protective frame you put up around a building while you're doing work on it. It's essential for the process, right? But it's not the building itself. Well, the same thing goes for the ego. It's a tool. It's a support system. It's not the final structure. So you see, the common mistake is to treat the ego like an enemy to be destroyed or a god to be worshipped. But the Arreqqanarra approach is totally different. It's about calibration. The real goal is to make the ego a healthy, flexible tool, one that's strong enough to protect you, sure, but not so thick and rigid that it walls you off from reality. And this brings us to another equally confused idea. We hear a lot of talk about the dangers of self-worship, but from this perspective, that whole concept is basically incoherent. Let's break down why. First up, the framework says that what people usually call self-worship is often just healthy self-respect. Honoring your own dignity, maintaining your boundaries. In this view, that's not a flaw at all. It's absolutely necessary.
Then you've got the second thing that gets mislabeled, self-alignment. This is all about integrity. It's just acting in a way that lines up with your core values and your conscience. Again, totally healthy. It's a sign of internal strength, not arrogance. And then we get to the thing that is actually unhealthy, which the framework calls ego absolutism. This is when a person treats their own whims and desires as the ultimate law of the universe. But notice this, even this isn't worship. It's a really dangerous kind of narcissism, a total collapse of perspective, but it's still not worship. And this one line just ties it all together beautifully. You can honor yourself, you can align with yourself. But real worship, by its very definition, has to involve transcendence. It has to point to something bigger and greater than you. Without that, the word worship just falls apart. So we've looked at skin and names and the ego. On the surface, they all seem like completely separate issues, right? But the Arreqqanarra framework reveals this single, unifying thread that connects every single one of them. And it's called the pattern of scale.
And here it is. This is the big reveal. Each and every issue we've talked about is actually a symptom of the exact same problem, a failure to think at the proper scale. Confusing skin with ancestry? That's a scale error. Imposing a name on someone? Scale error. Letting your ego become your entire reality? That is a massive scale error. They're all distortions of scale.
And this is where that intellectual mistake becomes real, tangible harm. It happens when the surface replaces history, when the imposed replaces the self-defined, and when the ego replaces the world. In every single case, a small, tiny part is being mistaken for the whole. And we're going to leave you with this final, incredibly potent line from the framework. It's both a warning and a guide. Reduction is not understanding. Simplifying things can feel really good. It can feel like we're finally getting some clarity. But if that simplification erases crucial details, if it erases history and complexity, it's not understanding. It's just a more elegant form of ignorance.